Welcome to my presentation. This presentation is on Sustainable Development Goal 12, that is responsible consumption and production. This goal covers how we use or consume and produce natural resources. It covers agriculture, food waste, waste disposal of toxic waste and pollutants, and recycling and reducing waste in business and industry. The main aim is to minimise the use of their natural resources, toxic materials, and to reduce emissions of waste. It's to create non-pollutant systems and processes and conserve and preserve energy use and natural resources. This Sustainable Development Goal has targets and indicators. The targets start with Target 12.1, and that's to implement the 10-year Sustainable Consumption and Production Framework. And indicators are going to ask how many countries have sustainable consumption and production action plans. The second is sustainable management and the use of natural resources. Here we're going to ask what's the material footprint per capita and GDP, and what's the domestic material per capita consumption and GDP. Thirdly, it's to halve global per capita food waste, and the food loss index will show losses from production to consumption. And the food waste index is a new way of looking at this. It's a new proposed indicator. Target 4, it's responsible management of chemicals and waste. So international multilateral agreements on hazardous waste are needed, and we want to know how much hazardous waste is generated per capita. 5 is to substantially reduce waste generation. So our indicator is what's the national recycling rate? How many tons of material are recycled? The 6th is to encourage companies to adopt sustainable practices and sustainability reporting. How many companies are publishing their sustainability reports? 7, we're going to have a target of promoting sustainable public procurement practices. So the indicator is to what degree are public procurement policies and action plans implemented, and are they sustainable? And the 8th target is promote universal understanding of sustainable lifestyles. How much installed renewable energy capacity is there? How much do people understand how they can live a sustainable lifestyle? We've also got the ABC targets. So A is to develop the country's scientific and technological capacity, and that will definitely feed into power generation, renewables. B is to develop and implement tools to monitor sustainable tourism. And C is to remove market distortions that encourage wasteful consumption. So an example of that would be when you buy an appliance and it only lasts 3 to 5 years, stop things like that. So the UK has certain data available, and it's very interesting to look at. So to support the second target, we can look at domestic material consumption. So in the UK in 2000, we've gone from around 750 million metric tons of domestic material consumed, and that has gone down to just below 600 million metric tons in 2018. So it's a reduction. It's coming down slowly, and hopefully we can see it come down even more. If we look at target 3, our food waste in the UK. So in 2007, this was 130 kilograms per person, and now 2018 is down to just below 100 kilograms per person. So that's a big reduction in food waste. The 5th target, if we look at the national recycling rate, the recycling rate has gone up slightly from 40 in 2010 to 45 in 2017. It doesn't look enough, but it may be enough to meet the targets. Additionally, 12A, this is a really good one. It's the installed renewable energy capacity. And if we look at 2008, we only had 100 watts per capita. In 2019, that's 700 watts per capita. That's a seven-fold increase. So it looks like we're doing really well with renewable energy. So in Scotland, what progress are we making towards the Sustainable Development Goal 12? Well, firstly, in waste reduction, we have strategies such as making things last, taking a product and really making it last as much as we can before we replace it. The Zero Waste Scotland makes sure that nothing goes into landfill, that we try and reuse and dispose of the product properly. And also we have our Circular Economy Investment Fund as well in Scotland, which offers grants to enterprises and trying to make a more circular economy. And that's definitely some great progress we have in waste reduction. In recycling, we have the Prevention, Reduction, Recycling and Reuse campaign. So we want to prevent having waste in the first place, but if we do, reduce it, recycle it where possible, and reuse where possible. And in 2018, 1.07 million tonnes of household waste was recycled in Scotland. So there's a target to reduce waste by 33% for 2025. We may be on course to do this, and if we do, we will make significant progress towards SDG12. Our carbon footprint as well in Scotland, the million tonnes of CO2 equivalent, there's been a reduction since 2012. And that's from 78.9 million tonnes, and that's down 5 million tonnes to 73.8 in 2016. So we're making progress on that too. And in Scotland, one area where we're very good at is sustainable tourism. So Scotland aims to increase sustainability activity. In cafes and restaurants, it wants to source Scottish produce, so we're not importing the foods. There's also promotion of the Green Tourism Programme, and we're promoting low carbon travel options such as bus and train. So when tourists come, we're saying to them, please use our low carbon options, use our electric buses where you can. In Scotland, we've now got one from Dundee to Edinburgh, electric, so that's a really low carbon option. So the government response. There are plans and objectives UK-wide. If we look at Target 12.2, sustainable management, so it could be said that the government's paying more attention to the importance of natural resources, and by doing this it will help achieve the target. In Target 12.6, encouraging companies, so large companies should adapt to sustainable practice. It should be a change of the way how they do business, and this should be a plan to help us meet the objective of SDG 12. And Target 12.8 is to give relevant information, share information with people, allow people to make a sustainable choice. It's recommended that the government should, however, they should lead by example in renewable energy. They should fund renewable and sustainable energy sources. They should also require SDG reports by the large British companies. They should ask them for a comprehensive report on the sustainability impacts of the nature of the company. And also build incentivization schemes. So allowing companies to engage with consumers. Initiatives like eco-labeling would be a great scheme. So what are the chances for success? Well, we're going to look at Scotland here, and we've got a little bar of the heat, how well we're going to do. The red is not very well. The green is very well. So waste reduction, it doesn't look like we're doing amazingly, but we're hitting the middle there. There are plenty of initiatives, but so far they've not reduced the waste by enough. Recycling is a bad one. The recycling rates do not seem to be improving year after year in Scotland, so the chances are quite low for that. Carbon footprint is looking much better. This measure is falling in Scotland and it may continue to fall in the future. And sustainable tourism is hitting the green. It's where we're doing best. And this seems to have the most support in Scotland and has a really good chance of meeting the goals of SDG12. So improvements. What can be done? So it's noted that the UK government have produced sustainable consumption and production, so the SCP strategies. However, they do not seem to recognise the benefits achieved by taking action in those areas. There's also little information that's publicly accessible regarding the SDG Goal 12 and its worldwide achievements. So it's suggested that the UK delivers specific targeted information on how they will achieve the required goals of SDG 12 on the global stage. And finally, the money spent on fossil fuel subsidies, billions of pounds, it could be diverted into the emerging renewable energy sources. So finally, if we look at SDG 12 in the UK and Scotland, we can see that we've got some clear targets, and indicators are the measurements of how they're doing. When we look at the indicators in the UK and Scotland, we can see things are moving in the right direction in some places, not all. The examples given show recycling needs to be looked at, and certainly in the UK and Scotland, that's our biggest issue right now in achieving SDG 12. But progress is being made, and in Scotland our tourism definitely looks like it could have a sustainable future, and the chances for its success are good. And thank you very much for listening to this talk on responsible consumption and production.